Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week. Welcome to Speak of Africa, our show. We're very, very happy to see you again. We have a whole lot of news for you. There are so many stories breaking out. As usual, we have to discuss African problems. Africa is the cradle of civilization. Unfortunately, the West underdevelops Africa. That's our problem. And we're going to talk about it again today. When we look at what is happening, we started this show on January 15, 2018. Our purpose was to make Africa great again. We wanted to share information. There are many shows on Africa on the internet, on social media. We are different because we wanted to go beyond the news. We have the African ideology. We want to create a new African republic. Out of the 54 countries in Africa, we want Africa to be one country. That's the ideology behind our show. When we started this show on January 15, 2018, that was our objective. We wanted to tell you the news behind the news. And when we did this, there were so many things happening in the world. African immigrants, wherever Africans went, people did not want Africans there. Europe did not want Africans. But the Europeans exploit Africa, which is why this week the major story is anti-immigration protests and uprisings in the UK. You see popular uprisings in France. Why are these uprisings taking place? Well, it is because on shows like this, we're educating Africans to reject the colonial catastrophe. Africa is a rich continent, but every day Africans are running away from Africa because of poverty. How can a rich continent have poor people? Africa is a rich continent, so Africans should be rich people. But this is not what obtains because the West is permanently underdeveloping Africa. There is a general conspiracy. There is a conspiracy of white people to keep black people poor. So the poverty in Africa is by design. We have a lot of resources. The white people come to Africa and steal our resources. They connive with our own brothers to steal our resources. Then they will turn around and say, Africa is poor. No, that's the paradox of Africa. That is the paradox of the African condition. We are a rich continent, so we should be a rich people. We can become a superpower if we follow the ideas that we are presenting on this show. We will not be going to Europe, dying in the Mediterranean. No, this will stop. So what we're going to be doing on this show, we want the Africans to expel the West, to expel the Europeans, so that Africa should be for Africans. We can do this politically, economically, and socially. Already, the message is resonating with a lot of the African youth. They are listening to us, they are watching our show, they are sharing our videos, so this is good. When you see what is happening in France this week, let me show you pictures of what is happening in France. Uprising. Take a look at the pictures. Why is this happening in France? The French citizens are protesting against Emmanuel Macron. You may not know this, but France was built on the back of African exploitation. You look at the French franc. They steal all Africans' resources just using this CFA currency. Why can Africa not have its own currency? We are speaking, we are criticizing France, we are educating Africans, and they are recognizing the importance of breaking away from France. Now, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger are some of the African countries that have stopped giving their wealth to France for free. The effects are well shaken already. When you see people protesting in France, France builds a socialist communist state based on the theft of Africa's natural resources. Now that we're making it difficult for France to get all these resources from the 13 colonies, or you may call it former colonies, I still call them colonies because we are not free yet. But already, Burkina Faso does not want to give its natural resources to France anymore. Niger does not want to give its resources to France anymore. Mali does not want to give its resources to France anymore. So the repercussions are felt in France today. France has less wealth stolen from Africa. As a result, they are feeling the pinch economically. When you see French people go to the street and protest living conditions, inflation under Emmanuel Macron, it's because Africans have stopped giving all those resources to France. So we are protesting and we're educating more and more people, more and more countries to follow what the Federation of the Sahel states are doing. Take away the resources from France. Don't give them to France. France will become a third-rate nation pretty soon. And that's our goal. We want to exterminate France from Africa. So we don't have to be migrating to France. Why? We have what France wants. So let them pay us dearly before they get what we want. We cannot be giving France our stuff for free. This has to end. And that's the message of our show. So when you watch the videos that we're showing you, you see how people are protesting in France. You see police struggling with the public. It's wild. It's wild uprising. I say yes. The chickens are coming home to roost. Then when I watch the anti-immigration uprising in the UK, same problem. Africans are wising up. They are not giving their resources to the Europeans for free anymore. So the European Union is having a tough time too. Things will be tougher for them when we stop allowing these people to steal our stuff, take it for free. That's the message we're giving you. So watch the uprising in France, watch the uprising in the UK. Those are the major stories. You can watch the videos. We'll have them. We can share with you. Then we'll take you to Ambazonia. On January 15, 2018, we produced our first video titled The Anglophone Crisis in Cameroon. This video has drawn a lot of attention. When we published this video, we introduced the Ambazonia problem to the world. At the time, most people did not even know about Ambazonia. Ambazonia is the result of a mishandled colonial process. Cameroon was supposed to be free, but the French played games and did not really give the real independence to Cameroon. Okay? Because of this, you had English-speaking Cameroon and you have French-speaking Cameroon. The two countries got their independence separately. But because of the machinations of the French, there's oil in Ambazonia. They decided to join the two Cameroons so that the French can continue exploiting the oil in Cameroon. Okay? This oil sits in Ambazonia land. After many years of marginalization, teachers and lawyers started protesting. They started complaining about marginalization. They were treated as second-class citizens. They decided to protest. Paul Biya, the French caretaker in Cameroon, decided to send his goons to beat and kill these teachers and lawyers. So this created a serious problem, and it has morphed. At the time, we stated the problem, and we also stated what should be done to resolve the crisis. But it looks like the Paul Biya regime never paid attention to us. They only listened to their French masters, who asked them to stay put. They organized a fake national dialogue, which did not really resolve the problem. We had outlined solutions to the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon in our first video, which we produced in 2018. Had this Paul Biya regime watched this video and taken our ideas into consideration, the issue would have been solved. We predicted ahead. We predicted that the Amazonian freedom fighters were going to learn how to fight, and they will start beating the Cameroon army at the fighting game. We are very prophetic. It is happening. The whole of last week, the Amazonian freedom fighters killed so many soldiers from La République du Cameroon. Even the vaunted B, Bataillon d'Intervention Rapide, Biya's private army, they killed them like flies. For so long, they were saying that, oh, the Amazonian crisis is only a Bamenda man's affair in the northwest region. No.
So now I talk say, even as ghost town there, so mo no fuck who go fuck. Now me this, I don't come out, I go cut my warm up. I just go find some sweet boy. Just give them check for free. Even as ghost town, they will go see Tuma, no be me key Jesus. When I say I know, na street that. But I go. You see me, I get my heart. I go.
What happened last week? You could see that in Fako, Malende, Muyuka, Muya, the Amazonian Restoration Forces hit hard. They killed over 25 of Biya's soldiers. To date, over 2,000 soldiers from La République du Cameroon have lost their lives. So how many more soldiers have to die before Biya, the Senegal guy, can learn a lesson? Well, Biya has lost his memory. So right now, his hangers-on are the ones running the regime. His wife is the Lady Macbeth, so she's driving this carriage. Then she has other people doing her bidding like slaves. She has the money to pay. The French are supporting her until Biya can kick the bucket. But interestingly, Biya is running for president again. Isn't that funny? He does not want the opposition to win. The opposition has been very, very fractured, but they are struggling. This week, we understand that Issa Chiroma has emerged as the consensus candidate for the opposition. But Biya's people are putting pressure on Issa Chiroma already. They are threatening to put him in jail. Some are also threatening to kill him physically. They eliminated Maurice Kamto, but now they don't know what to do with Issa Chiroma. Issa Chiroma is making waves in the north of the country. Ngaoundere, Garoua, Maroua, Issa Chiroma is making waves in those areas. Those areas can see the havoc that Boko Haram has caused. Those areas are marginalized. I lived in those areas. I lived and worked in Mindif in Maroua. But I used to visit Garoua. I used to visit Ngaoundere. So I know all those areas. The areas have been suffering from neglect. Since Biya took power, Biya has not really done much to allay the suffering of the people in the north. This time, the northerners have decided that they make over 50% of the population of La République du Cameroon. So they don't want to hear anybody talk about voting for Paul Biya, the phantom candidate. He's a ghost. You never see him, but he has people who are campaigning for him. His wife is driving the election machine. Elekam, the Constitutional Council, they are all tools at the disposal of the Biya family. This morning, we even had news that Brenda Biya, the daughter, has stolen over $700 million from Switzerland. How did she get so much money? But that shows you the way these guys are squandering the money of the country. People are poor. When you look at the infrastructure in Cameroon, Yaoundé, Douala, it's very dilapidated. Why can the Biya people not use this money to develop the country? No. They keep the money for themselves and for their families so that they can enjoy it in Switzerland. The people are crying every day. But who is listening? Well, Biya has the army on his side. So long as he has the army, he can do and undo, which is what is happening in La République du Cameroon. Okay? From La République du Cameroon, we'll take you to Burkina Faso. This is where we see the ray of hope, the ray shining, shimmering. Ibrahim Traoré is doing it again. Ibrahim Traoré has decided to waive fees for Africans who want to get visas to get into his country. So this is a commendable move. It's going to attract a lot of Africans to travel to Burkina Faso, which is why Burkina Faso is always in the news. Okay? Burkina Faso is always in the news. And the people love what the young Ibrahim Traoré is doing. It is the reincarnation of Thomas Sankara, right? That's what the people are saying. His policies are very positive. He's fighting the jihadists. And you know the French are behind all this jihadist activity. But Ibrahim Traoré is methodically fighting to regain more national territory. He has so many initiatives, political initiatives, social initiatives, and economic initiatives to take his country forward. So we think Africa will not be a catastrophe if we start having young leaders such as Ibrahim Traoré. These are leaders who are patriotic, they are Pan-Africanists, and they see the vision that we have of one Africa. Instead of having 54 countries that are infantile, we have one country that can work, compete with the West, can compete with China, can compete with Russia. Okay? All these 54 countries are too small to survive on the global stage. And that's the problem. Who is listening? Well, the leaders of Burkina Faso are listening. In Cameroon, a country that has issues with Boko Haram, they cannot even fight Boko Haram, yet they are sending soldiers to the Central African Republic, where there is war. The Russians have taken over. They have kicked the French out, and they have taken over in the Central African Republic. But the situation there is very, very tense. Ashanti Touadera wants to run for a third term. He is a tool of the Russians. But France is unhappy to leave Central African Republic. So they too are doing everything possible to get back. The Central African Republic has a lot of natural resources. France needs these resources. Right now, Russia is dominating, is enjoying these resources. France is not going to take it without a fight. Because already, as you can see, there is blood on the French streets. The people are protesting. France needs these African resources to feed the French people. Without them, there will be more and more uprisings in France. As Jacques Chirac, one of the former presidents of France, once said, "L'avenir de la France, c'est l'Afrique." The future of France is Africa. Without Africa, France would degenerate into a third-rate republic. While we want Africa to rise into a first-rate republic, a new republic that is constitutional and united. That's our goal. What about Congo DRC? In Congo DRC, we also have a problem because the ADF, which is a rebel group, has been killing people in the east. Why are they killing people in the east? Resources, resources, resources. Mineral resources. There is a scramble for these resources. That's why this is happening. And some of you were asking me, whatever happened to Joseph Kabila? Well, a court in Congo DRC had condemned him to death, but it looks like the verdict has been delayed. This is probably the richest country in Africa, but the people are poor. They cannot enjoy the wealth that is on the earth that they walk on. Why so? Because the elite of that country are sleeping with the enemy. You have multinational corporations that are siphoning off the wealth of that country. And this is done with the collaboration of the elite, the political elite of that country. The people are very, very corrupt, very, very corrupt. They stash this money in Swiss bank accounts, in offshore accounts also. Then they enjoy this wealth while the average African is wallowing in poverty. Isn't this sad? Yes, it is. Ghana, which is supposed to be a rising star, John Mahama just got elected again, and we thought this is going to usher a new age, a new page. We even saw him make some rapprochement with Ibrahim Traoré, but we saw that this is just for show. Already, John Mahama wants to have absolute power as president. We've told you imperial presidency is not good for Africa. Why did John Mahama fire the Chief Justice, Gertrude? The people of Ghana are protesting already that this should not be done. A president of the country should not have the right to fire a Chief Justice, because we need to have the separation of powers so that there's a balancing act. Next, we take you to Malawi. In Malawi, Lazarus is really having issues with his re-election campaign. There is inflation and high cost of living. Serious. And the people are just complaining. How are things going to end for him? Well, we've watched videos of President Lazarus beating people in his cabinet, but this beating deter any of them from stealing? No. There is bribery and corruption in Malawi, and things are getting to a head. So the elections are going to be kind of tenuous at best. What about Mozambique? Mozambique, this is the country of Samora Machel, a big-time revolutionary. But today, we see infighting in the north. People are fighting for resources. Okay? Then what about Nigeria? In Nigeria, the main theme we hear is election 2027. Bola Tinubu wants to win again. But there is still the security crisis in Nigeria. There is still bribery and corruption in Nigeria. So why not focus on the important points? Why deal with straw elements? That's a question we need to ask Bola Tinubu. The Biafran people still complaining about marginalization. Why is he not doing something to solve this problem? Why is he not coming up with better economic policies so that the people can afford to eat a decent meal? Those are questions Nigerians are asking me to ask. And finally, we take you to South Africa. In South Africa, the main issue is Steve Biko. Steve Biko is the leader of the Black Consciousness Movement. He was killed by the apartheid regime. More than 40 years after his death, his eldest son is proclaiming his innocence and asking for him to be reconstituted. When is justice going to be served for this heinous crime? That's the question South Africa needs to address. Okay? Similarly, in La République du Cameroon, the people are asking, Ruben Umyobe was a leader who took the country to independence. But the French decided to kill him and drag his body all around, disfigure it. What are the people in the Bia's government doing? They cannot do anything until Bia himself decides he wants to pick up this dossier and do something with it. But so far, nothing is happening. So this is the challenge of Africa. Africans are dying in the Mediterranean, but more and more Africans are traveling to Europe every day. They don't care because they are desperate. We should not be desperate people. We should be able to build our own future in Africa, and which is the message of this show. Thank you very much.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.